Mindset Podcast. We're your guide as you make your way through life, getting better 1% every day. We believe that life is lived and true victory won through adversity. Nothing easy is ever worth it. We believe in the warrior ethos and support those that choose to walk that path.
Hello, my friend. What's going on this morning?
Gene, what's up? How you doing?
Thanks for coming in.
Hey, my pleasure. Glad I made it.
It's early here.
Yeah, it's not that early.
It's not, but I usually do these things at like noon or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's early then. Okay, so I'll be excused for just being on cup 2 of the
Hey
coffee.
man, you're on time. That's
Cool.
all we want.
I love it.
So let's just get a little background about you. Where the hell did I meet you?
Gosh.
Here locally. You're
Yeah.
working for an agency,
Mhm.
doing God knows what.
Yeah, I was working for a marketing firm. I think I was in and out of a co-working space.
Maybe, yeah.
And I think I met you more than you met me because you were involved in so many things.
Right.
Converge was the one I remember
Right.
specifically. I don't even know if you remember this story.
Younger, dumber me.
Maybe. It certainly impressed me.
Well, thank you.
But I was younger and dumber too.
Not fishing for compliments, but thank you.
Well, I was younger and dumber too, so I didn't know.
So there you go.
Yes. I may have just been confused. But I remember coming up to you at one point and kind of being nervous about it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Younger and dumber. And just
for sure.
I think I asked you something like, Gene, you're involved in so many things.
Right.
Like, what is that like?
Right.
Because to me, I had never
Right.
imagined a world where you have multiple projects, multiple enterprises going at once.
Yep.
And I hadn't lived that life. And so it seemed really alluring.
Yeah, that's the trap.
And I wish I'd never talked to you.
That's the trap. That's
here
the
I
trap.
am today.
Well, so you did that, and you've been running your own agents, creating, building, and now running your own agency for about 2 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, started during COVID.
Yeah.
A little bit by accident.
Yeah. How does that happen? How do you start a company by accident?
So
you didn't get fired, did you?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
No, you didn't.
Well, I might have. Maybe it was like a sneaky way of
too
firing
professional.
me.
No.
In 2019, I had the pleasure of going on a couple of really meaningful vacation trips.
Yeah. Okay.
One out west, went on a trip with my brother, and we drove an RV camper van from San Francisco to Salt Lake City because we got a crazy deal on a one-way route.
Okay.
So we passed through Yosemite, Mojave Desert, Zion National Park, just tons of out west nature experiences.
Okay.
And I remember coming back like, man, I never want to lose that feeling. Like, that was just great for me. And
just being outdoors and the adventure travel. Yeah.
Outdoors with a really close friend who happens to also be my brother.
Right.
On the road.
Yeah, it's freeing, isn't it?
Just freeing.
Yeah.
I think we were there for like 10 days total. So it was a long trip.
Nice.
Just completely escaped a bit. And I would say, coming off of a period of thinking through what the next chapter might look like for me. I had been with my company 8 years. They were amazing, incredible company, incredible leadership. I was just a little bit burnt out.
Got you.
That's become cliche to say, I think, these days, but I
don't think so.
You don't think? I hear it more and more.
Yeah.
I think I'm the first to have said it.
Let's go.
It's on my website from 2020. So I think
you are
the pre-COVID first burnout published person. And then in August of that same year, I did get the chance to go to Paris as well for the first time. And
was that your first time overseas?
It wasn't.
Yeah. Okay.
I had done a stint abroad.
Okay.
I'd been to several places out of the country, but also studied abroad during university architectural
that's cool.
Design degree. Yeah.
Very cool.
Lived in Barcelona, which was cool.
So that's like the mecca of architecture.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. And just as a city, it's just very vibrant.
Right.
A lot of strange stories we don't need to get into today. But yes, I had spent some time over in Europe, but Paris never. It delivered on many levels, but it did leave me when I came back thinking, you know what, it's time to take a little bit of a break.
Okay.
So fast forward a couple months, I went to the leadership of my company, just said, I think it's time for me to check off a personal milestone, and that's taking a year off. I want to do more traveling, clear my head. I'm not expecting for you to keep a seat warm for me, but maybe let's talk when I get back.
Okay.
It was all amicable. We took about 3 months to finish my term there through the end of 2019. And then I did 3 more months on a contract project.
Okay.
And if you're doing the math, that puts us at about March 2020.
Right. Just when the shit hit the fan.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which meant that I spent all of March and April canceling flights and learning all the voucher programs for every single airline because COVID did not want me to go on any of the trips to South America, back out west, abroad to Europe again,
right,
that I had planned. So after lots of time on the porch and on the road, all in quarantine,
right,
by myself with no remote work to do, I suppose I just got bored. And I started the agency because I had a couple of people reach out and say, hey, we're interested in some marketing. And I had all the brain space.
We know you're not doing anything.
Right. You're not doing anything. We've been wanting you to help us for a while.
Right.
What do you think we should do? And I had the brain space to really sit back and think about how I would approach specifically online and digital marketing in the modern landscape. And started doing some consulting work, which over time led to picking up some staff members and is now a team of about 4.
Wow.
Handling,
that's legit,
pushing 15, 20 clients at this point.
Right.
And growing and learning everything it means to be a business owner, which I did not know about before.
So it was kind of accidental.
Very much so. I fell into it.
So let's talk about that first, though. So the burnout.
What do you want to know?
So, I mean, you wrote an article about it. I mean, I saw you put on LinkedIn. You were calling it a sabbatical.
Yeah.
What made you like define it in those terms? You know, like, because it seemed very intentional. Like, I mean, what I read and what I saw on LinkedIn, and then what I knew of you, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit better since late 2020, but it seemed intentional.
Yeah. So I knew I wanted something different. I didn't know what it was. And there are some people that are really good at like walking up to a ledge and just jumping. That's just not me. It never has been. I've always been a processor, a thinker. I'm trying to turn over different options in my head. I'm trying to scenario plan and think through things.
Right.
I don't know. It's just a personality deficit, maybe. It doesn't always serve me well, and certainly hasn't always served me as I've learned to be a business owner. But it did set me up for a situation where I realized, you know, I want to figure out this next chapter sort of the right way. Like I want to really do a decompression from the past 10 years of my career. I was around 31, 32 at the time.
Yeah.
And I want to look through all the journals I've written over the past several years.
Okay.
I want to try to get a little more clarity on who I am and what I want to do in life.
So it was very purposeful.
Very much so. Yeah, I had a lot of intention behind it.
Okay.
And that same brother I went on the West Coast trip with, God bless him, he had to listen to me externally process
it's like,
the whole thing. Yeah. In fact, I came up with some incredible charts and diagrams during that pre-planning phase to basically convince him to convince me that this was the right decision.
That's funny.
Because it was the first major self-motivated career move that I think I had made.
Right.
Because I'd been with the company for pushing 10 years, all through my 20s.
Yeah.
And for many millennials, that's an odd course of action.
Was that like the first professional job?
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
held and you were like, okay, this is a
Full-time
career. I'm going to dig
professional
in.
job.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And so to leave that
Yeah, that's
environment,
scary.
it was for me. Again, I think there are some people that are just great at taking a
Well,
risk
see,
or not even seeing risk in it. But I
so
was scared.
so you mentioned the conferences and all that stuff, and you know, I'm sort of one of those guys that tries to be an inspiring person. You know, when we coach people, I try to, you know, push them in the right direction and stuff.
Definitely.
My wife hates it.
Hates what? Coaching?
That mentality
Of like, do better, get better.
yeah, well, no, not the getting better, but like just take a risk. Or if you don't like your job, just get another one, because it's not that easy.
It's really not.
And people, like, you get that online a lot. You get that with all the inspirational coaches where they're like, just change your surroundings.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's great on paper, bro.
I have a cousin who's done very well in his career in finance. And I don't think it's wrong to label it this. He would job hop pretty aggressively.
Right, for sure.
And I remember talking to him one time and asking, like, how are you doing that? And he's like, well, I mean, I'll submit 100 applications in a week.
What?
And that's what I said. I'm thinking, wow, he's playing the numbers, he's playing volume, and it's working.
Right.
And I also thought, I don't know if I've got 100 applications a week in me.
A month even.
Jesus. It's a lot of work to do that grind.
That's like a full-time job.
It's a full-time job if you want to go that route. And I think it stacks over time. You build a bit of a reputation. Or
see, I do too.
Yeah.
There's in the web software development, website development industry, there's a, you're probably aware, it's like the job hopping, the conceived lack of loyalty.
Same in marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing agencies,
the digital
100%.
landscape of working in the industry. It kind of sucks.
I don't know how people do it. I would see peers in, New York, LA, Chicago in marketing agencies with job tenures of like 6 months at different companies. And a lot of them are affiliated. So I think there was some of that going on, but still to see, I was at this company 3 months, this company 6 months, this company.
It doesn't look good to me. If I'm hiring someone, I'm like, why have you been at 8 companies in the past 3 years?
There's a reason to do it, but it just wasn't for me. And so after, around 8 years, 10 years or so of one company, I just was ready.
Yeah.
But I needed to like build up all the momentum to jump off that ledge.
That's really positive, man. That's like you wanted to move on with your life. You wanted to try something, but it wasn't because you hated where you were.
Yeah.
It wasn't because it just is personal. Like, I want to grow and I want to figure out how I want to do that
big time
intentionally. Most people don't have that.
You just said
luxury.
No,
I don't want to call it a luxury, but
it is
because it took planning. But
it took sacrifice too.
Oh, okay.
I lived very frugally.
Okay, that was gonna be
my 20s.
I was gonna get there. Like, how the hell did you pay for it?
Yeah, I mean, I saved a lot of money by living with roommates and not spending a ton of cash. And during my 20s. And if I ever write a book on the experience, that'll be chapter 1. Like, you have to be able to afford it one way or another.
Okay.
And so for me, it was very much a opportunity to enjoy that. I think it was like a Tim Ferriss book at one point in time that I read that had some clip about, I can't remember who the quote is, but it's something to the effect of, most people work their entire lives to build riches so that they can travel and enjoy life in the most fragile part of their life.
Right. From like 60 to 70.
Correct. Yeah. And that really resonated with me. And it was the reason I had a sabbatical on my radar, because I thought, look, I'm going to be doing career for another 30, 40 years.
Right. Forever.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. I want to make sure that I'm course correcting along the way. And for me, that looks like taking some real time off. And to be candid, I intend to do it again.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later.
That's cool.
It might not be a year. It wasn't a year, as it turns out. First go around, I fell into this starting a business first. Yeah. That got me. But I totally intend to take off several months at least, again, within the next few years, because I just think it's a place where you're able to connect with your heart a bit, and even your mind for that matter.
Right.
And to me, those things being aligned are really important. And it's so easy to lose track of that when you're just grinding.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So, I mean, you find yourself, I mean, you started a business and you're running a business, so I don't imagine you get a lot of downtime, but hopefully you've had some. Maybe
Not much
not much.
recently
Okay. So yeah.
yet, to be completely honest.
Right.
It's building a business is no joke.
Yeah.
It's a full-time hustle.
Yeah.
And the downtime you do get, you're trying to spend with friends and loved ones that you maybe
Right.
didn't see because you were grinding nights and weekends. And so I've had a lot less personal space certainly than I did in 2020. And
Okay.
that's actually been a hard change to kind of reemerge back into a full-time workforce.
I think a lot of people they're still struggling with that, to go from so long. I mean, because I think for most people it was 4 or 5 months at least.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, and some still are they've gone from like a full office scenario to like their bedroom.
Yeah. It's a change.
Yeah.
And yet I've enjoyed it. There's been challenges. I think that I'm trying right now, 2 years in, to begin thinking about what the next chapter of this business looks like, because it's been go
Right.
from day one, especially during a very blessed but also challenging growth season of 2022. And so I hope to carve out some time soon to do a little bit of road mapping for what comes next, because I believe in it. I think you have to be aligned with what you're trying to do. And some of that just comes from training. I was a marketing strategist, essentially business strategist,
Right.
through the lens of marketing. And when you're doing that for clients all the time, you have to at least look yourself in the mirror and go, maybe I should do this for myself.
That's incredible, because was the saying like the cobbler's shoes?
Absolutely.
That's not the saying, but that's referencing the saying.
Yeah.
I
think that's the saying. The cobbler's shoes.
Cobbler's children have no shoes.
I think that's
some. I don't know. Yeah, I find that's the same in my multiple businesses. You just don't pay. You're like in it so much, you don't pay attention to it. And you brought that to me with the gym. We worked on that gym website together, and that was probably the first time outside of like a conference website, where we intentionally spent time thinking about how it speaks to people and how they perceive it and stuff. And normally it's like, here's my stuff, come get my stuff, but that's just a website. But thinking about your business, working on it, is super important. And we don't ever do it.
No, it's hard, but you have to earn that too, right?
That's right.
You have to earn the space for that.
I like that.
I think, if the transition from operator to owner is earned, you've got to put the pieces in place and the people in place to be able to make it work without you doing some of those things.
It's a cool way to look at it.
And that's the phase I'm in right now. And it's tough. It's hard. I envied entrepreneurs. I had entrepreneur crazed mind. I was buying courses, and I was very much in that spirit of the age. And I now that I'm in it, it's been a radical awakening to what it really means to build a business, which I did not know before. And shame on me for having
that's how we all do it.
Illusions of grandeur. And
no, I think you need it.
And private jets.
Well, that big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was pretty big. I'm a dreamer.
All right.
Yeah. But it's been really rewarding to like go, this is what it means to solve the tangible problem of, if this tool breaks, my whole team can't work.
Right.
The tool needs to be salvaged. In my case, tools are usually computer software or programs, that sort of thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
If it breaks, the whole company's down.
What are we doing?
And who's lined up to fix this thing? These are the tangible problems that it takes to make a business machine work. And so I'm working to earn that owner space to think a little bit more clearly.
That's a hard transition for most owner operators. I don't know how you want to define it, but that's a super hard transition to get out of the weeds.
Yeah.
I think
The weeds were what has been,
well, yeah,
is paying you.
yeah, you start out gardening.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and yeah, it's super hard.
But it's also neat to build teams, and that's what I'm
Okay.
learning too.
That's
To
cool.
have staff members that I'm now training and developing culture with,
That's cool.
and developing processes with, is yeah, it's a neat thing, and to be doing it at a profit is also cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I had a colleague or friend tell me recently about a business, they were closely attached to, that was not in a good financial position, tons of revenue, but
Yeah.
just debt like crazy, cash flow problems, receivables problems.
Giving me anxiety.
Well, it did make me kind of sit back and go,
Yeah.
this doesn't look yet like what I hope it will. And it's probably going to take a lot longer than I want it to for it to. But I'm working at it, and at least right now things are stable.
That's cool. Yeah, good things usually take a little while.
Yeah.
Overnight success, you didn't see the 7 years that it took to get there.
Right.
Usually the case.
Well, talk to me in 7 years.
Yeah, well, let's do that after another sabbatical.
All right, cool.
So what are some of the things that you did? So you took a sabbatical. So what are some of the things you did to really get a sense for what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
I mean, you said you accidentally started a business, but whatever. Like, what are some of those things that you did?
Yeah. I'm a big believer in what at least I've studied to be called cognitive functions, which
Okay,
Carl
what's that?
Jung was kind of
Okay.
involved in laying the groundwork for. And I've spent probably 15 years of my life since college, starting in college, dedicating myself to an amateur PhD in cognitive functions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're the backbone of what many people know as the Myers-Briggs personality type.
Got you.
But like, I hate Myers-Briggs.
Okay.
That's a strong word, but
Yeah.
I hate the letter acronyms because they're very misleading.
They don't really make any sense to me.
Exactly. They don't
Like, I am an IFTJ.
Yeah,
Q.
it's a way of labeling and trying to categorize, which to me isn't helpful. What's more helpful is what is underneath them, which are cognitive functions. Again,
right, because I believe everybody's sort of on a spectrum of whatever personality trait.
Yes,
And that on different times you're different waves of that spectrum.
correct. You're constantly fluctuating, and not only that, you have every piece of the Myers-Briggs
Right.
happening at all times for you.
You also grow over time, like
Correct.
hopefully mentally,
Correct.
spiritually, physically.
All of the above.
Yeah, emotionally.
Which is why, to me, the labels aren't helpful.
Gotcha.
What is helpful is understanding that the cognitive functions below them are constantly in tension, trying to create balance for you. Balance between your feelings and your thoughts, balance between your introverted and extroverted side, balance between your sort of intuitive abstract side and your relationship with the sensory world.
Right.
And I studied that a lot.
Huh.
And the sabbatical gave me a chance to really dial in and get clarity on what I had come to both self-assess and have professionally assessed as my cognitive functions, and start to figure out the makeup of who I was. Because I do think people are wired certain ways.
Sure.
And have strong tendencies.
Sure.
And with those strong tendencies and strengths come deficiencies and weaknesses. And so I needed to get a really clear picture for me of what are the strengths I'm interested in capitalizing on, and what are the weaknesses that are going to cause me problems if I can't find a way to either work on them or hire for them or in some other way solve them.
Damn.
That's what I did on the sabbatical. Yeah. Buy the course, coming soon.
Oh my God, man.
I don't know.
Do you think that sometimes, so if you are like figuring this stuff out about yourself, whether it's you or you figure it out for someone else, and you wind up kind of accepting or labeling yourself, you find that you kind of use that as a crutch like, oh, I'm this type of person, so I can never be the other type of person. Like I'm an introvert, so I can never be extroverted.
Right. I think it would be easy to.
Yeah.
Um,
How do you not fall into that trap? Or you just don't fall into that trap?
to me, it's more just accepting it as a state, right? So for me, very good at abstraction. A lot of my work is based on understanding in my brain how different platforms and technologies all have to work together to achieve a marketing objective, right? Automation platforms, tracking platforms, data and analytics platforms,
Right.
they all have to be firing in the same way. And I have to be able to hold that machine in my head because it doesn't exist as like a blueprint.
Right.
Okay. So I'm sure it's similar for you on the web front, right? You've got to understand how some of the hosting,
It's a little simpler, but yeah.
you get the point,
Yeah.
right? It's abstract.
Yeah.
That makes the sensory world very difficult for me, which is the world of like things bumping into each other and causing problems, i.e. that tool that breaks.
Right. Okay.
It's a struggle for me to sit there and like deal with a tool-based sensory gears moving problem.
Okay.
And yet that's the phase of business I'm in. So for me, not using my strength as a crutch is all about seeing the weakness and not being afraid of it or being feeling ego threat from it, right? Like I don't let my self esteem be
Interesting.
determined by
Right.
this weakness, right? I instead recognize it as a weakness and like point at it.
Sure.
Shine all the light on it.
Right.
And then when you do that, it creates a situation where I think growth can happen. And I think that's true in most every growth area. If you're unwilling to accept that you have a weakness or a problem, like if you cannot come to a place where you can look yourself in the mirror and say, this is a problem or a weakness, you're going to have a hard time growing through it because,
Absolutely.
Because it's part of your identity,
Right.
And you're holding on to that, or it's just threatening your self-esteem to deal with the struggle of fixing it. And in either case, the weakness becomes a really big sticking point. You have to be able to look at it in the face and say, oh, you're my weakness.
Right.
Hi.
And it's me.
It's me. I'm the problem. And it's this trait of me that's the problem.
That's great.
And then, okay, well, now we can maybe work on it.
Yeah.
It's going to suck, but like now we can work on it.
That's a level of ownership that I don't think many people get to.
It's tough to maintain.
Not to, elevate ourselves above other people in the world. It's not the intent, but like, I think it's hard to get there.
Yeah. It's tough to maintain.
So through your interest in, you call it psychology? What?
Yeah, I would. Simply
cognitive psychology, I think.
Yeah.
So through your interest in that, did it lead you to this, or is it sort of a thing where you were like, I got these problems, I need to figure out, not problems, but I have these weaknesses. I need to figure out what they are. I mean, how did you get?
I would say it did. Yeah. Because a lot of what's embedded in the cognitive psychology that I've studied is a model where strengths and weaknesses do exist.
That's fascinating. I just had somebody on the show a couple episodes ago. It was a pretty enlightening one, and he was talking me through the 12-step program that like alcoholics and addicts go through. And it's very similar to what you're talking about, is that you start off discovering what your weaknesses are. In their cases, things they've done to hurt other people. This is kind of the same, kind of the same thing. And then it's about owning them and then overcoming them.
Yeah.
And they don't even talk about drinking at all. Like, that's not even like, that's just a symptom of
relationships are the starting place.
Yeah. Yeah. And
like relationship with self and others.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's interesting. You kind of tapping into like the 12-step program to being a better leader, almost.
Better leader, improving any area of your life, not just, a substance addiction. And especially the areas of just personality growth.
Well, yeah. I mean, your addiction can be your ego.
Absolutely.
Needing to be
addiction
constantly
can be a fear.
Yeah, anxiety. Yep, fear of like losing the thing that you've built.
100%.
Oh, absolutely.
You mentioned like introverted, extroverted.
Yeah.
Like, I think people are both at different times depending on who they're around.
Yeah, I've had people that say they're an introvert, and then you get them in their element, get them
total extrovert,
playing their Dungeons and Dragons or whatever,
Yeah.
and that sounds like I'm making fun of somebody, but like I've seen it, and then they're like awesome,
Right.
and you're like, where is this person normally?
But like it's so easy to, just as you're saying, create an ego or an identity out of I can't be alone. I'm too extroverted.
Right.
Or I don't want to go out and be in the public arena. I'm an introvert.
Right.
And I think it's better to think of them as, I think you used it like spectrums or sliding scales.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
But you're not a fixed point on that. Yeah. You can dial it whichever way you want, but certainly certain sides of those coins are going to be more natural to you than others.
Right.
And some are going to require more work.
Right. And from a team perspective, if you're working with 3 or 4 people,
yes,
I don't know, it feels like it's good to know that. And like if you're in a client, like I work with, one of my business partners, and he's very gregarious, and he does great in, meeting scenarios when I'm not so great in like, a room full of people that want something from me. I tend to then get anxiety, and he tends to like turn into the monster in the room at that point. So it's good to know to like accept that, dial myself down, and let him go.
Definitely.
But I think the key to that is to not be what's the word I'm looking for? To like let him do it. To like it doesn't make me less.
Right.
I'm not less of a leader. I'm not less of a business person. My skills aren't diminished. It's just he's good at it. Let's let him do it.
Let him do that. Or
she, whatever.
I think
let
if
him
you're
go.
in any relationship or team environment where complementary skill sets and strengths aren't being discussed, like maybe find a place where they are.
Okay. Wow.
I think it's crucial.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't even, it's one thing to like do a disc profile or something for a company. It's another thing to have.
So what is that? What is a disc?
I think it's like dominance, influence,
okay.
social, and conscientious. I think I'm messing one of those up.
So it's like personality and how you interact with your team.
It's another personality test that's commonly used in corporate settings. Nothing against it. I'm not like lamenting or decrying.
Right. I would imagine it's
actually a great tool.
They're all just tools that you use to get to a result.
But like, don't just get the report, or don't just get your Myers-Briggs letters, and then just stop.
Yeah.
Like actually integrate that into your conversations with your teammates. And it takes a lot of setting a stage where ego doesn't have to be in the room, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. But I do think if everybody's willing to come to the table with both their strengths and their weaknesses, it's a lot easier to have that.
Right. Because the strengths are easy.
The strengths are easy. And everybody knows them.
Just go.
But like bring your weaknesses to the table too.
Right.
And be authentic and honest about those.
Yeah.
And then I think some magic can really start to happen.
There's a group I'm involved in. It's called the Bureau of Digital. Good friend of mine, Carl Smith. If you came to Converge, you probably know who the guy is. And that's lost train of thought. So it's good to do on a podcast.
Weaknesses.
Yeah. So strengths. He talks about that a lot in terms of teams and being authentically you, whatever, in a team. And we kind of made fun of it because there's a it's called an authenticity coach.
Funny.
And it seems like one of those, millennial jobs, like touchy-feely things.
Yeah.
But once we sort of dug down into it, it is exactly what you just described. It's like they are helping people understand what they're not good at.
Right.
It's sort of like that's the job.
Yeah.
When you'd think it would be like, you hear the term and you're like, well, they're just helping people get in touch with themselves.
Right.
They are, but they're letting them learn how to overcome, that anxiety of exposing what they're not good at.
Sure.
Because it's hard to do.
And it's the reason, not to be too closed loop about it, but it's the reason I took the sabbatical, because I wanted to have a really clear picture of me.
Yeah.
And when
That's
you're
strong, man.
when you're moving through life and moving through work and you're at 1,000,000 miles an hour, it's so easy to lose track of that because you're trying to be one person to this person. You're trying to maintain a narrative. You're trying to fulfill a certain role that has been put on you that may or may not fit you well.
Right.
And you're trying to fit within societal
Mm.
boxes. And I don't mean that in like, society's terrible. I just mean by
It is
nature of what
is.
it is, there's roles and influence and narratives and norms, and it's easy to lose sight of yourself, and it's easy to lose a clear picture. And I think finding that is very important. And I think it's important for companies as well, right? So companies
Sure.
are almost humans in and of themselves. They eat and sleep and
Yep.
breathe and have
Yep.
lifeblood and
Yep.
uh
100%.
and so companies too are in a situation where I think there's a lot of authenticity that has to be discovered. Not and it's the same. It's what I'm going through. That's what my company is going through.
I feel like it's a top-down thing too.
100%.
We've talked. I've talked to people before
be.
where it's like, and we've come to the conclusion that a business will take on the personality
Oh yeah.
of the person or persons that are running it,
Oof, man, I need to
whether
hear
it's
that today.
positive or toxic.
Yeah.
Like it is the leadership.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. Like
Wow.
ownership, not owning a business, but like owning the strengths and the weaknesses, like we're talking about. I think that's what makes it so crucial to create a company, an environment where people can thrive kind of authentically.
Yeah. I heard a recent interview with the founder of the online tech platform called Figma.
Oh yeah, Figma. They just got bought out by
They did.
Adobe.
Yeah. I think in the
Right.
billions.
Yeah, Figma's a big deal.
They started like 10-ish years ago. The founder was 19 when he started the company.
Yep.
And
Fun fact: they were an early sponsor of a conference. Yeah.
Amazing.
And they sent speakers and stuff.
I just recently discovered it, and
there was like 10 people that worked there.
I use it a lot. I love it.
Yeah.
And yet he was doing an interview where he said literally leadership and management were the thing that were causing problems.
Right.
And yet what he said was he sat everybody down and they just had a very honest conversation. Right. And it takes a leader who is self-aware.
It does.
And others aware to be able to do that and be criticized and like own that.
To like listen. Yeah.
To one, listen, and two, like do something about it. And
well,
he brought in a manager, and here we are
10
10 years later with a
$1 billion
valuation and exit. So
something to learn there.
I think Gary Vee's been preaching that for a while, and good for him, because I was getting tired of hearing him yell all the time.
He is loud.
Gosh, I was sick of it. And yet now that he's yelling like self-awareness, I think that's his big like thing now. Yeah. It's kind of nice because he's right.
He's right.
I believe him. I believe that's the next pendulum swing for at least our society here in the States.
It'd be so great.
It would be wonderful.
So many problems would be solved.
I'm trying to do my part. Anybody listening, do your part.
Self-aware enough.
Yeah, like figure out what self-awareness means and lean into that, because I do think it's the place where self-healing happens.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, you're in a really great place to help other people and help other people heal too.
Solid, man.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, Gary Vee. Another guy that I didn't have at one of my early conferences, but what year was it? 2008. Oh my gosh. He was at a web developer conference.
Yeah. Were you there?
Yeah.
Nice.
And do you remember what he did before he did?
Yeah, wine.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
The Wine Library TV, where he just tasted wine, spit it into that Jets. It was like a spit bucket. It was like
I never saw the show. I just heard him talk a lot
okay,
about it.
Okay.
I caught him I probably caught him several years after that. That's when he kind of popped on my radar.
Yeah.
And he would always reference the wine.
I think those shows are gone.
Are they?
Yeah, he'll talk about that, where he bet on Vidler instead of YouTube.
Oh,
that's not on the internet anymore. So all his shows are gone.
Oh wow!
But,
How about that?
But you're talking about using tools and like what happens when the tool stops working.
And
and
platforms.
That is an allegory for like, be careful.
Big time.
That's the right term. We'll go with that.
Allegory sounds good to me.
it's a
Yeah,
good, it's a smart
it's
word.
huge, especially today as we get increasingly tech centric.
Mhm.
You know, when things break,
Yeah, dude,
how much of your life is built on it?
it's crazy, right?
You know, when it was whatever cavemen world,
Mm-hmm.
the house falls over.
Well,
What do you do? Well, now
you build a new house.
when Google breaks,
Yeah.
or has a global outage, or when that tool you use to run your business goes down.
It's funny. I still use Photoshop because I'm old school, and I'm very old school in that when I went to school for graphic design, we actually used an airbrush. We actually used a T-square, an
Yeah.
X-Acto blade,
Yeah.
and black gouache and
Mhm.
a brush. And
Architecture school.
yeah, you know
same
all about
thing.
this stuff. That's why I bring it
100%.
up.
Yep.
And I've had interns that I've like used the X-Acto blade in Photoshop or whatever, and they're just like, "What is that?" Or like, and I had one kid ask me, what is that thing?" I was like, "That's an airbrush." They're like, "What the hell is
What is it?
What is an airbrush?" And I'm like, "Damn."
Yeah.
But that's what I like about what you do. And you helped me with the gym's website and
Mhm.
sort of thinking about that,
Yeah.
and that was so solid because it was reassuring in myself to see you sort of doing some, because we don't do the same exact thing.
Yep.
We play in the same sandbox kind of, but it was that the work you did, it didn't matter what tools we used.
Mhm.
We could use any tools
That's right.
to come to the same conclusions.
The end vision was what was kind of most
Yeah,
important.
but it was your knowledge of what needs to happen.
Yeah. What does the
that got us
experience
there.
need to be like
Yeah.
for the user to just make it a good experience for them, on a good digital
Right.
experience?
But I think that approach, I see so many contractors and people that get plugged into projects that they're just there to run a tool,
Mhm.
or they're just there to interpret
Yeah.
data from a tool.
Like the classic hammer and nail, like have a hammer, every
yeah,
problem is a nail.
yeah. But I think that's so crucial to the digital industry, but probably anything.
Yeah.
If you either know how to build a house or you don't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it's that knowledge and that approach, like regardless, like tool agnostic,
Yep.
that makes you valuable, I think, today, and it's going to let you last. But it's so easy to fall into that trap of like, well, this is what we use, so let's just sell this package and we just do this thing.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do that.
You have to decide, what you are, what your business is, certainly, and what you as an individual are trying to bring to the table.
Yeah.
There are great opportunities for people that know one tool and that's all they know. So,
Of course, I mean,
you-
maybe you're part of a team. That's what you do. That's
that
totally
could be like you are
it's
the
not what I'm talking about.
specialist.
Yeah.
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 But I do think, to your point, the ability to know what the end result needs to be,
Yeah.
no matter where you fall in the continuum of
Mhm.
the production. What's the end result we're going for here?
Yep.
And how does my craft, no matter what that is,
Yeah.
align with the end outcome? And
I love that,
how does
man.
my contribution make the whole
Mhm.
what it's supposed to, what the vision is?
But I feel like if that's how you're approaching it and that's how you're thinking about your craft, like you said, you'll be able to work forever.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, because this, I'm pointing at my laptop or my phone.
Right.
This medium won't be here forever.
No.
It'll be something different. I mean, this the iPhone, it changed the medium overnight.
Yeah.
If like we were doing things a certain way,
Mhm.
and that thing came out, and we're like, oh shit,
Oh,
we got to do it
new
this way.
way.
Yeah, and it's even more, it's deeper now. Like this stuff will change, but the stuff that people are trying to do won't change.
No. The outcomes will always be more or less the same.
It's so strong to just,
Make things easier, more enjoyable, less painful, or make art.
right.
Right.
Well, you were telling me you had an early business. I don't know when you did it. You can remind me when, but you sold bracelets.
Yeah. Yeah. I still wear one.
Yeah. What was that
I
about?
think I've had this on for like way too long. Take it off.
So where did that fit in the timeline of the sabbatical and now? Was it during or before or
Pre.
Okay, pre.
That was one of several early attempts at entrepreneurship
Okay.
as a side hustle
Right.
during my day job. Not like during, I wasn't on the computer doing it. I mean, but I
That's
was,
all
I was
good.
full time.
You don't work there anymore.
Well, it wasn't me. No, I'm serious. I was, working during the day, and then on the nights and weekends, I grind out some different projects with
It's legit.
a really good best friend in a sense. And we were just trying it, man. We were trying to see how you make money.
Right.
How do you make your own money? I had never done it. He had never done it. We were new to it and had the allure of it. And we were doing coaching, trying to make coaching programs. And then we pivoted into the physical product space, and the bracelets sold, man.
Yeah. That was what you telling me.
I think that's partially why I still wear it, because it kind of was the first thing that was revenue positive, or like profitable. I think we made all of about like $27.50, in profit, all said and done. But like, we made money, right? And
but I would challenge you, and you probably agree with me, that you're still making money from it.
Yeah,
from that experience.
Definitely. How do you bring a product to market and put it in front of people?
Yeah,
and make it attractive at a price they're happy to pay, and keep doing it. And that's what that was. And it included me making these bracelets. Like we were drop shipping them from overseas.
Yeah.
And then at one point I just realized, gosh, I can just order tons of this like nylon yarn and just make these while I'm binge watching House of Cards and get them out the door for 50 cents as opposed to over here from overseas for $3 to someone's mailbox. And those lessons were certainly business 101.
That is why I love martial arts so much. It's sort of the same philosophy.
A kick is a kick kind of thing.
Well,
what's that Bruce Lee quote?
Yeah. I fear not the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I'm afraid of the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Yes.
It's knowing your craft. It's knowing your place in your thing and what you do, and knowing it inside and out. Yeah. You can tell when somebody knows something, like when they truly have lived it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in their body, not just their brain.
Yeah, and they're bringing something to the table. You can feel that.
Yeah.
Even in a professional consulting situation, you can tell.
Yeah, the reps and sets are visible.
Yeah. That's why I'm going to sound like a dick, but like the MBA title, it chaps my ass sometimes.
Ooh, I've never heard that unpopular opinion from you. Huh?
When it's like,
ta-da!
Nothing against that degree or that whole world. Nothing against it. It's that. Yeah, cool. Yeah. You studied it.
Mm-hmm. You have these letters.
Your life just begun.
right.
Like, let's do some
That's
work.
like your gym membership.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think either one of us would
I don't think most people
wrong would. Against someone who has an MBA, but I do.
That's like any degree, but
any degree.
It just seems like that MBA, like
especially
you're like in some business meeting, you're like,
well, and we both know MBAs who would say the exact same thing. We could bring in dozens of people.
Yeah.
Would say the same thing. Yeah.
But to my point, though, I just took a dump on MBAs. But to my point, you can tell someone when they're in the room that they have lived a life experience in the subject that we're discussing. Yeah. Like you just know it, and you're like, which is why I think those experiments, and maybe it's smart to think about the things you're doing, like if you're an entrepreneur or whatever, as lessons, as like tuition. You know what I mean?
Definitely, they were.
Because you probably got more out of that, running that business and that part of your life than you probably would have getting an MBA.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's to scrape a little bit of your dump off of the
Thank
MBA.
You. Yeah, education's important.
And just an MBA is for a specific thing, right?
Yes,
like an MBA is, at least as I understand it, is to go into a large company and do management of things that I don't know. Right. I couldn't go into Kellogg's right now and run the Special K brand.
Right.
I don't know supply chain, for cereal. Right. I don't know supermarket pricing models. Those are the things.
Yeah.
I don't
those
know,
industries have math in them.
Yeah. I don't know multi-million sample size statistics. right?
Right.
In terms of like what color should the box be next.
Right.
Like I haven't studied that,
Right.
but I do know how to bring a bracelet to market.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and that's led to a small business that I'm happy with
Yeah.
and
It's legit.
hope to grow.
Yeah.
But I'll probably have to hire an MBA at some point. So I think it's just knowing why you're doing what you're doing. But MBA, I would say, is an easy one to fall into accidentally and think you're getting one thing when you're not.
Or taking that. It's not just them, but taking some thing you've studied and think you can apply it to everything in life. It
Right.
just doesn't work that way.
Well, it's back to tools, right?
Yeah.
Why are
Same
you
thing.
doing what you're doing? And it's back to intentionality
Yep.
as well. Make sure you have at least a sense for why you're doing the thing you're doing, even if that sense is I'm testing.
Yeah.
I'm exploring the unknown. I don't know what results I'm going to get. I don't know what answer is there, but like at least have thought through that a little bit, I think. But man, there are days where I just wish I was the psychology type that can just like
Yeah.
do more of what you said your wife hates, which is just like leap into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never been that type,
Yeah.
but I only recently got into skating. You've been skating for your whole life.
Oh, you're talking about skateboarding?
Yeah. Yeah.
Drop in, baby.
Yeah. That was never me. It took me like 6 months to learn how to drop in.
Oh, but you did it.
Finally.
Okay.
Yeah. But I like built up to it
Right.
really slowly.
You're in the cement park.
That's where I started practicing. I
Oh, boy.
actually was in Charlotte when I finally
Okay.
figured out a drop in off of coping down a half pipe.
It's scary, man.
Yeah.
Depends on how tall it was.
Yeah. And it was all about, it was literally just about committing to
And
it.
trusting yourself. Yeah.
Right. And being okay with the discomfort. And that's how I train people on it now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
They'll be, kids at the skate park learning to drop in off of coping.
Yeah.
And they pull back. You pull back.
That's
You're
when you fall.
scared.
Yep.
And I have to tell them what you're on, that uncomfortable feeling, like right as you're starting to drop.
Yep.
That's correct.
Yeah. You should feel that.
Your brain is like, this isn't right. This
it's
isn't
not
right.
right.
And it happens in business all the time.
Right.
Your brain is going uncomfortable, not right. Balance is off. Everything is wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to just keep leaning in because that's exactly how it's supposed to feel.
I love it. That's why I love skating.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of lessons there.
Oh man.
I mean, they're also some of the most intensely committed. You'll never see a skater quit.
No.
Like, I mean, you will see some, but like for the most part, they'll just try the same thing over and over and
bloodied.
Over. Yeah.
Ankles
like, dude,
busted.
What are you doing? Yeah.
Still trying it.
Yeah.
Not gonna stop.
Yep.
The gym used to be my analogy for everything, and skating has slowly become a really good replacement.
It's legit.
Yeah.
It's also very dangerous.
Yeah. Wear your helmets.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and pads.
We used to not wear helmets back in the day, but
I don't go out there with that
one. Well, dude, where can people find you?
Yeah.
Let's do that thing.
Sure.
Then if you listen to this and you like what Will has to say,
yeah. Biggest ways to get in touch, willweatherly.com, first name, last name. But then my company is called Digital Done Smart, digitaldone.smart.com.
Yeah. And that's true. I've worked with you personally and you do some good work.
Thanks, man.
You really help.
Yeah. We're trying to help small, mid-sized companies understand that there's a million things you could do online.
Yeah.
And like none of them are necessarily wrong, but if you do them out of sequence, you're wasting your money.
Yeah.
Sequence is everything when it comes to online marketing.
I learned that.
So
you taught me that.
That progression through the correct flow of which channels are right for you at the right time is what we try to help people do.
Yeah, you taught me a lot. And man, I'm gonna pay you a compliment here too. I kind of pride myself on being someone that doesn't have an ego. I work on it. But every time I talk to you, I always feel like, damn, kind of arrogant.
Oh, man.
Just your approach. So I really respect that. And that's why I like talking to you so much.
It's easier to present it on a podcast than it is to live it. So I appreciate the compliment, obviously, but I mean, it's daily, man.
Yeah.
You gotta chip away at it every single day. And the days you forget to do that are the days that you have mornings like I did, where you're
sometimes
losing your temper a little bit at something very insignificant.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels good.
It does feel good. I just need to go to your gym more.
Well, you're welcome anytime.
I need to hit a bag more.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure, man.